how much do we actually need to buy a home in Ontario? Let's actually be specific. Toronto.
In Toronto. Well, I mean, that magic number that everybody talks about is that 20%. You know, you save 20%, you're good to go. Let's say $1 million. So basically, once you save $200,000, you can buy a home. You agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I don't think that's enough.
We hear that. Like, I've been in real estate for over 3 decades, and that I like to throw that in every once in a while, you know. But it's that 20%, that 200. I have $200,000. I'm ready to go buy my home. Then we go look at houses. We get into it, and they put an offer in, and then I start telling them, "Do you need some more money?" And so, "Oh, you told me 20%." I said, "Well, I didn't tell you 20%. I said that's bare minimum saving for the down payment, right?"
Yeah, I think you always need more because you got to get ready for land transfer tax. Maybe you have to get an inspection. You have lawyer fees, moving costs. Maybe you have small changes that you want to make to the house once the property closes that you don't have enough to make those changes. So I think there's a lot that you need to consider and always be prepared for. And 20% is just not enough. I mean, have you ever paid utilities after close? Like, I remember the first gas bill. Like, I don't even know how they charge gas.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do they figure out these numbers? All of a sudden, you wake up, you got $280 you owe the next month.
Yeah, and it's always everybody's got that new account setup fee.
Yeah.
You know, like they say it's like everything's anywhere from $35 to $150 just for the heck of it.
Oh,
right?
you're getting squeezed left, right, and center as soon as your house closes all of a sudden. So yeah, I would definitely highly recommend that you need more than 20% in order to buy a home.
Yeah, and honestly, like if you're ready at 20% and you've been saving for a few years, why not save for another 3 months? You've waited this long. Things are going well, you know, and you've got a place to live. Like some people, you do have to buy and you got to move, but think about it a little bit. And if you have to wait 2, 3 months, 4 months longer, I mean, I think it's well worth it.
I agree. To be prepared is a much better feeling than to be stressed and overwhelmed with what could happen because you weren't. You know? I highly recommend not being house poor to anybody. Like whoever's selling the American dream or Canadian dream, so to speak, that you need to buy a house, I think you need to be prepared to buy a home.
Yeah. And listen, don't get me wrong here. Like I know we're chatting here about how much down payment. We only get paid if you buy a house. But not everybody should buy a house. Like you got to agree with that.
Yeah, not everyone should buy a house. I think that renting can be beneficial, and also owning a home can be beneficial. It just depends what you do with your money and how responsible you are.
Okay, now you've got the down payment, everything's good, but it doesn't end there. And now you got to qualify. You could get 2 people that make the same money. One works at let's say at a factory or a company that's a secure. Basically, you're getting a paycheck, you're getting a T4, they're taking your taxes off, and they know exactly what you're making. And you got somebody on the other side that's maybe a salesperson or a commission job that's making, technically more money, and they won't give as much money to that person. It's harder for that person to get the mortgage and qualify. So banks look at all that stuff. So saving the money is just the start, right? Now you got to qualify for the mortgage.
Yeah, now you've made that second step of, okay, I have this much money. Now, how much can I afford?
Yeah, so let's say you wanted that $1 million house. You got $200,000 for your down payment. But you go to the bank and they say, well, we'll only give you $600,000 mortgage. So technically, you can only buy an $800,000 house.
Yeah, and that's what the bank says. But now you need to look at, okay, how much is that mortgage going to cost you monthly? Are you comfortable with those payments? And from there, now you can reverse engineer, you know, your future lifestyle of the next 5 years in that home.
5 years.
And if you want to be there, then you're going to have to probably make some sacrifices on the financial side. Or you stick it out and you continue to save until you're ready to make that step.
Sacrifice. Like, don't get 2 dogs.
Yeah, I wish I stuck with just one, but you know, I don't make my decisions in my life either.
You know, like you got to cut back if you want a house. Like, we're being funny about that, but it's true. You're going to have to sacrifice certain things. You can't go to Starbucks every day. You know, you can't.
Yeah, well, I get your notifications for Starbucks. You go every day.
I don't go that much anymore. Come on, I really got back. I'm starting to make coffee at home. Make coffee at home and you can afford a home. Trust me.
What's something I should do if I'm looking to buy a house?
Well, we talked about that 20% number, right? That 20% number, I would say think 22, 23% at least. Make sure you have contingency. So don't hit 20% and okay, boom, we're ready to go. Right? I think That's really important.
Yeah, I think having an emergency fund is definitely something that people should have 3 to 6 months saved for anything that could happen in your life.
100%. You could lose your job, you could get sick, there's things that happen. And if that 3 to 6 months will save you basically from losing your home or your credit being really hit hard. That 20% turns into almost 30 now.
It moves quick.
Yeah. Now the big question. Let's say you get approved and you kind of stretched a little too far and you made your first payment. Now you kind of realize I'm in too deep. Like what are some of the negatives that can happen?
And if you aren't prepared for what's to come when you get a house or a mortgage, and you're coming up on a payment where you're stretched a little thin and you might not make it, you're looking at a letter from the bank in a sticky situation where they're asking you for whether or not you're going to be able to make that payment next month, or they're going to have to come and collect the keys from you.
Yeah, and it can turn very quickly. And the bank will notify you. The first month you miss or you're late on the first payment or second pay, you're not there. You're gonna notice a friendly kind of notice. But once 30 days go by and you haven't caught up, they're not so friendly anymore. And the way the economy is today, banks are very aggressive, and they will get very aggressive with you as well. So, you got to think about that. So if you get into a position where you can't afford the house or you made a major mistake, what are people's options of that? Like you've realized this was wrong. I should have never bought this house. I can't afford these payments. I'm in trouble.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. That's my fault. You can either try and sell the home, go back to the bank, try to renegotiate your mortgage. Chances are that won't work. Option 3, you could try to refinance your house. Maybe get a family, friend, somebody that'll co-sign with you, that'll either, help reduce the payments, or you can maybe claw back some of that down payment that you have in hopes that the property value hasn't changed.
Yeah, and that's people that bought in 22 or like a few years back. Unfortunately, they've overpaid and prices are below there. They're in a bad situation.
So you might not have that option in those cases, but sometimes cutting your losses can be better than slowly bleeding out.
True.
So you definitely have to consider it, even though it might be the difficult thing to do.
Yeah. And I think people forget about that. If you cut your losses and say, okay, you know what? I had $200,000 down on this house. I can't afford it. I'm going to sell it, and I'm only going to walk away with, let's say, $150,000. So you lose $50,000. But the other side of that coin is you keep the house. You're missing the payments. Now your credit score is dropping. Everything's going the other way. It could be a lot more than 50.
Yeah,
and if the bank steps in, then you're going to start losing control.
Yeah, you're on a slippery slope at that point. So
and
you're better off gaining control and selling it under your own will than under their will.
Under their will, yeah. But ultimately, you don't want to get to that position.
No. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
So, when you think about it, if somebody gets into this situation, somebody dropped the ball, right?
Yeah, it's not their fault. It's a lack of education.
Yeah. So, and I'm a firm believer, being in the business for a long time, the buck stops with us. If we let somebody buy a house that can't afford that house, and we know that they're going to get in trouble or they're skirting the edge with their down payment or their income, it's our job to be able to tell those people, you may not want to buy this house. This house just might be too much. Maybe we should look at something cheaper, or maybe we should wait for a little bit.
I think you should definitely, at certain points, getting to know your client and being the realtors that we are, having that difficult conversation sometimes of, are you sure that you want to do this? Is this the right move?
Yeah.
And really sitting down and showing them the repercussions and perhaps what the next 6 months of their life looks like with a forecast, I think it'd be very beneficial to clients so that they don't make that mistake and end up in that situation.
Yeah, and as realtors, I think it's important to understand when you're looking for a realtor, you definitely want to find one that's going to ask you the hard questions. They're going to ask you the financial questions. And, I meet a lot of people, I'm going to use my cousin or I'm going to use a friend or whatever, but they don't disclose their personal information to their friends or their cousins. They don't want to, right? People want to keep that private. And that's the information they need to know more than anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. I think you need to be able to get into those tough conversations and be able to find out exactly what's going to happen, because if not, you're in a situation that you're not happy with.
No, you definitely don't want to be there. You want to be able to disclose that, and we have to ask the same questions that a bank's going to ask. Like, we need to know all that personal information.
Yeah, so,
and then we can help the people.
Yeah, so look for a realtor that's willing to sit down with you and ask you the tough questions, that takes interest in you and actually cares about, you know, your financial and personal well-being.
Let's put it this way: if somebody just you go look at a couple houses and they're just pushing you to put an offer in, you might want to think twice about using that realtor. Kind of like Sean here.
No. I'm all about repeat business. So I care each and every transaction. I care about my client.
Well, he took that personally, that comment.
Yeah, I did.
Kidding. I was just kidding.
Oh, 30 years in the industry and I've never done anything wrong.
So really, that's kind of why we're doing this. We're trying to really educate people in the real estate industry, and try and help them, to guide them into the right path. Whether you use us as your realtor or not, you're still welcome to contact us, comment below, ask us any questions you want, no obligation, because it's really important to get the right answers. And that's really what we want. We want to see people go in the right direction. I don't want to see anybody lose their house or lose their down payment or something happen to them.
And we've actually already created a checklist now on whether you're ready to buy or not. So comment Ontario down below and we'll send it straight to you.
So if you like this video, we'd really appreciate if you could give it a like, share it, and comment down below. And I hope you'll look forward to seeing more of our videos.
And don't forget to hammer that subscribe button.